Good evening. Just give me a moment. We will get going. Welcome to the master class. Happy to have everyone with us today. After a gap of a week, it's great to be here always. Thank you, Gurdeep, for setting it up. So today we are on chapter 14, Magic of Mentors. Before we go into chapter 14, should we delve a little into chapter 13, Gurdeep?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to share chapter 13?
Yeah, I'm sharing.
Yeah, on your blog, you will see this week's been a deluge, absolutely. I think teachers have decided that you must write with vengeance, literally. So when you go to the blog, I'm not sure how Manisha managed, but this week they had like almost 50 posts happen, which is amazing, absolutely. I guess everyone works like that when it comes to submissions in schools, that we all have to do things. So that's all those submissions came. In the meantime, you get the Joy of Learning diaries open or the Happy Teachers blog open for teachers. I want to refer to two things. Why mentorship is essential and why a teacher is not always a mentor. So there are two different aspects of having someone to look up to. You may have a teacher who teaches you, you may have a teacher who is your guide, but perhaps that teacher is not your mentor. Gurdeep, I want you to show the blog post on happyteacher.in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let me do now.
I'm
Yeah.
reflecting to last week's reflections.
Okay.
I don't want
Fine.
the chapter because
Okay.
chapter we can even put off. It really doesn't matter. Chapter can come. So just go to happyteacher.in. We will just delve into last week's session for a moment and then we will read the new chapter. It's good to revive what we did last time, and it's been a good week. Yeah, this week two good things happened. One was we started a poetry session. I'm not sure how many came for that, but we had about 25 people. The poetry session, what we recorded yesterday, will come out on Wednesday. Today is the 15th. It's the day for the monthly chatter between Simar and Oshi. So 7 p.m. today, get ready for the release of their podcast. And they talk about Leila Majnu this week. So this month, sorry, they do a podcast every month. Like I mentioned the other day, that in 18 months they missed only one podcast. All credit goes to these two interns who have done a fantastic job. So what we will do now, we'll have a look at the happyteacher.in for 5 minutes and then we'll read the chapter, Magic of Mentors. So when we go to happyteacher.in, we finally are so happy to see that teachers are actually posting. And Gurdeep, when you go right down, see how hard you have to go to find reflection for 1st February. I know it was 2 weeks gone by, but there. But number of posts that came in is phenomenal. So what happened in chapter 30? It was dawning in Dune, where Shomi reached Dune. That's the story. And we are reflecting on Shomi's experience as a student in Dune, how he came to the boarding house, how he started life. And there were some reflections below this. Could you please refer to those reflections? Are there any comments below this? There are no comments, right? Okay. So I just wanted to bring this up to you. We would appreciate if you people comment after the session. We will put up today also at 6 o'clock the magic of mentors. So please add your reflections there. Just run through the questions once, could we? So the first question was reflecting on Shomi Das's experience as a student at the Doon School, where education seamlessly blended learning with enjoyment, creating an impactful and lasting journey. How can you design your teaching approach to make learning an enjoyable, engaging, and memorable experience for your students? So please do give us your thoughts. Do share in the comments below. Second, as an educator, you can create opportunities for students to develop essential leadership skills such as teamwork, communication, and the ability to inspire and guide others. Then we talked about the honors book, which we have in the Noon School, where it is not necessarily distinction or assessment of your academics. Even good conduct got you the opportunity to sign on the honors book. Then we talked about students struggling to see the relevance of education. How can you adapt? So these are the four thought corners for you. Do think about them and do comment below. We will start reading today's post, please. Today's chapter in Kindle. Yeah. So, magic of mentors. 1955 was a turning point in Shomi's life. For Raj and me, it was 1993. That was the year Vikas got underway. Vikas is a school which Raj and Naga set up. The first landmark in our journey of education with a difference. As with all such ventures, this too was difficult to begin with, and it may have ended an abortive attempt had some people not stepped up at the right moments. But who were these people? I call them mentors. Our success is largely because of having the right mentors at the right time. Right mentors and right time. Both are equally important. We are fortunate too, in the sense that while mentors can guide you in some direction, it might not always be in the direction of growth. Do think about it. Mentors don't always think of growth, they will give you direction. An early mentor we consulted was Chigurupati Varaprasad. That would be sometime in 1992. Chigrupati was the Sri Krishnaveni Educational Institutions. Being in the field of education, his advice was valuable to us. He was the one who had told us not to get into a partnership if Raj and I were to remain friends. That didn't stop him from lauding our endeavor when Vikas was an up and running institution. Varaprasad was a Lions Club global director, and even at other forums, he would present our story as a case study and say, I was wrong in my advice, but I feel totally happy about their success. See the mentor's euphoria. Another early mentor was Ratnakara Rao, who happened to be an uncle of mine. He was a businessman and told us to be first sure of what we were doing, then follow our instincts and not get carried away by what others said. Now, this is important. We always get carried away by what others say. I'm currently reading a book. It says, You Should Not Read the News by Rudolf Weiner. And it says how reading news and how getting carried away by what's happening around you actually defeats your whole purpose of existence. You have to follow your instincts and not get carried away by what others say. And that's the challenge for a teacher always. It was my uncle who gave us the initial seed money as a loan, and he would later advise us in our venture. Looking back, it's remarkable that we were never short of advisors. Take, for instance, our auditor, KGD Srinivas, who has been with us 30 years now. When we started Vikas, we were naive and did not know what partnership meant or what a company meant. Naive means absolutely uninitiated, very honest, very simple, not knowing the intricacies. Not that we would limit ourselves to financial matters. There were times when he would double up as counselor too. Whenever we hit rock bottom, he would divert our attention and take the discussion on a tangent. I'll give you an example. It was many years ago. I'll give you an example. It was many years ago, a time when Vikas was hardly making profits, any profits. Our total turnover then was 20 crore. And our expenditure was rupees 20 crore. We were not making a single penny. We were clueless, but how to survive? At that time, the Chaitanya Group of institutions was making a profit of about 100 crores. We would be admiring the Chaitanya Group. Just give me a moment. We would be admiring the Chaitanya Group of institutions was making a profit of rupees 100 crore. We would be admiring the group. That's what I said. Sir, can we think of acquiring them? It would make us laugh. In a way, he made us see what our potential was. There were times when we believed in our ability more than we did in ourselves. He gave us one piece of important advice, and I have always kept it in mind. And that is place matters. I'll come back to this in greater detail later in this narrative. For now, let's just keep KJD Srinivas made us feel glad that we were in Vishakhapatnam and not in Newswid. Newswid was their village. In retrospect, we think he was the one who put in our mind the seed of Hyderabad as a possible location for a future enterprise. He also talked about Mumbai and New York as potential locations. But it was the suggestion of Hyderabad that struck. We realized that the place you function from can make a big difference. I've always kept that in mind. Now that I look back at Oak Ridge, I realize that none of this would have been possible in Vishakhapatnam. In hindsight, the move from Newswid to Vishakhapatnam was the passport to greater things, a graph that would be reflected in our journey from Vikas to Oak Ridge. But then Oak Ridge may not have happened without another man, our greatest mentor, Shomi. We met Shomi in the year 2000. Till then, my entire knowledge about education came from my interactions with senior teachers who were working with us. When Raj and I met Shomi, I might have possibly asked him 1,000 questions. He had answers to almost all of them. There were times when I would visit his house in Dehradun for 3 to 4 days and talk with him, morning and night. That is how we started Oak Ridge. Zero worth to potential value. Now, this is the journey of Oak Ridge. There would be other mentors too, people who would come up with timely suggestions about the practical aspects of doing business. One of them was Devnemi Suresh, who enlightened us about our potential value. Suresh whom we also, who was also from Nuzvid, which is their village, was associated with Meenakshi Constructions, one of the top property developers in the country. Sorry, I'm very bad cold. Sometime in 2007 or so, when we were stabilizing a little, Suresh asked us what our growth plans were. We told him once we get a grip on the financials, we would start a school. Maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, he told us to go for fundraising and private equity. But I was clueless when Suresh asked me for some financial data. We did not know how to read a balance sheet and did not know anything about financials. Then he told us about what our potential value was and said we would raise equity and start straight away and grow. Any idea? Any Gurdeep, would you like to tell us about raising equity and what equity means, what it means to you?
Basically, equity means part of capital. So raising equity means raising funds. In
Yeah,
simple language, raising funds.
absolutely. So what happens? You incorporate a company and you create shares in the company. You give part of your shares away and someone puts money in your company. So that's how equity is like you're equating your company into parts and sharing it with others. And that's how you raise money. In hospitals, he explained, we count financials based on number of beds. Similarly, we could arrive at financials based on the number of students. Till then, we had thought ourselves to be zero worth. Now, here was a person saying that we were worth some amount. Our whole world changed. Since then, Suresh has continued to advise us on many of the financial aspects of going about a business. But for his intervention at that time, he may not have expanded Oak Ridge the way we did. Another person who played an important role in our journey was Rakesh Gupta. He was our vice president strategy. He was from IIT Kharagpur and had gone to the US and worked in Microsoft, came back and done his MBA from the Indian School of Business. At ISB campus interviews, he got selected by McKinsey. He completed his ISB course, but there was still some time left before he was due to join McKinsey. Two of his professors referred him, and we worked for us to conduct a parent satisfaction survey. I would like to mention here, if any teachers are interested, we have a happiness survey which we have designed. And in case you want to run it through your school, please feel free to write to us. All the resources we produce under the Ages of Learning Forward Foundation for My Good School for Teachers Academy are all for open source. That was in 2008 or 2009. That is how relationship developed. We told him he could join us if he wanted to, but he took up the McKinsey offer. Within 4 months or so, he quit McKinsey and joined us. He felt that McKinsey was a big pond where he was just a small fish and would hardly learn anything. But if he worked for an entrepreneurial organization like ours, there would be scope for him to learn. So a lot of people today, and the environment has changed a lot since the time of these days, where entrepreneurship is perhaps given much more emphasis on. And entrepreneurship doesn't mean doing business. It means doing business with an entrepreneurial mindset. It's about a mindset. It's not just about doing things for a panel or let us say, making profit. It's doing things in a spirit of enterprise. Jugdeep sir, I want to ask you a question. What does entrepreneurship mean to you?
Entrepreneurship is actually a spirit, right? But you could have an entrepreneurial spirit even in doing anything else. So one aspect is a spirit, but otherwise it's basically starting a business. Basically, you take risks.
Yeah, that's a good one. And we as teachers are sometimes averse to take a risk. So, Jugjeet sir, let's talk back to our school and the teachers and the masters who we had when we were fortunately growing up in a very liberal arts open school where the ability to take risks, where the ability to go out maybe on your own was a way of encouraging you to the spirit of enterprise. If you remember, we had outings where we just planned everything on our own and executed from budgeting to doing the trip of 5 to 8 days and coming back. Transport, cooking, logistics without any teacher's help. Wasn't that entrepreneurship, Jugdeep sir?
Yeah, because you're learning how to, make a budget, and also you're taking a step into a world which you are not so familiar with. So that's the risk-taking part because you're not familiar, but somehow, I don't know, I guess it just was, we weren't worried, it just happened, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I mean, and today times have changed, and I sometimes think that our hearts have become smaller and our minds have become bigger. We think more and we don't have enough of a heart. And that's why we talk of security and tend not to take risks. We have become averse to adventurous outward bound activity. Am I right in saying that when I talk of entrepreneurship, same challenge we have? Despite the fact last 10 years we've been talking of an entrepreneurial mindset in this country, where we've been talking of history of India being a land of entrepreneurial ability, we are still struggling to get the entrepreneurship fire to propel the country. What do you say? And why do you think in this Raj and my friend Naga's case, how they were able to overcome that hesitation? Is it because of mentorship or is it something else?
I think we've just read their history, right? I mean, they were just two small boys from a small place, just trying to make their way. And they were, they had some good teachers along the way. And I mean, to me, it seems that they picked up this ability to think for themselves, right? And just the way they moved from one place to the other, they were taking risks. They had the ability to think for themselves, and that's why I think those are key elements of being successful as an entrepreneur, right? And obviously they didn't know stuff, right? They just said, you didn't know to read a balance sheet, but they learned. They went, I mean, I don't know if it's covered already, but they went to ISP, they did a course.
Yeah.
They learned stuff, you
Yeah.
know so they
So the
they
learning to
were
learn is
willing
part
to.
of the entrepreneurial spirit. May I say that? Learning to learn itself is entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
So as far as we were concerned, we were keen to professionalize the organization, but didn't know how to do it. That is how Rakesh joined us, and he would be a critical factor in our transformation. So there's a young guy who goes to McKinsey, quits everything, and comes back. It happens today also. It happens more today. Transformation is crucial to any entrepreneur's growth trajectory. It was the same with Raj and I, both from the point of view of our evolution as entrepreneurs and in relation to the organization we would establish. People combined primarily an education services company that at one point owned both Vikas College and the Oak Ridge brand. So let's talk about classmates again.
So Sandeep, the other thing in this whole thing is that they were very clear about what they saw as a problem, and they said, we can solve this problem, and so that's what gave them the conviction of pushing ahead.
Yeah, it just shows, they traveled across the country and their meeting Shomi, they were in their 30s and Shomi was in his 70s. Look at the difference. They were almost like 50 years apart. And they took him as a mentor, and then he traveled with them for over 25 years. And for Shomi, it was post-retirement job or chairmanship. For them, it was beginning of enterprise. So mentorship can come from any age. And we often look at mentors sometimes only as people with age, but it's not that way. Your peers are your mentors. I'm sure a lot of us teachers so often consider a colleague as a mentor also. So, mentorship is where you find a rapport with, you develop a confidence, and that's how you are able to build a good relationship. So, it goes down to communication, collaboration, critical thinking, our 6 C's. And that exactly is the entrepreneurial spirit because that helps you become confident and a better entrepreneur. Classmates again. At the discussions we had, Rakesh would bring up financial modeling, Excel manipulation, and so on. Raj and I had no knowledge of such things, and we would find the discussions difficult to follow. The ISB started PGP Max, a management program designed for senior executives and business owners. So, this is what Jugji was referring. Rakesh suggested we join the course, which we did and completed in 2012. In my life, too, in 2005, when I was very deeply seeped into the retail sector, I ended up doing a management development program at Ahmedabad, IIM. So that was after 15 years of work, more than 15 years of work. That was after 17 and 5, 23 years of work. So this is the entrepreneurial mindset. Rakesh suggested we join the course, which we did and completed in 2012. Joining the course, which included 18 months of intensive education, was another turning point in our lives. So we are very clear. They are very clear of what they want in life. Thanks to Rakesh, other people with equivalent caliber and similar vibes could join our company. All those who subsequently hired would be interviewed by Rakesh. That is how we were able to transform people combined from an owner promoter driven organization into a professional enterprise. Rakesh has since left our company and started his business, but remains associated as an independent director. At a more perceptive level, we were no longer out of our depth in the complex world of commerce and enterprise. Because both Raj and I went into together to B school and would weave our classmates' stories into our efforts. It was also the continuation of our intertwined stories that began with our childhood as classmates in the same school many years ago. Sorry. Before giving us admission, the interview board and ISB asked us who would run the business in case of us join the course. We told them we would be able to manage. We could convince them and got admission. Both partners doing the course together was a kind of case study by itself. It was good, both of us did the course, or our conversations would have become stilted. And it was only after we did the course that we took private equity. So, why conversations would have become stilted? Because if one had done the course, then he would have a different vocabulary, the other one would have a different vocabulary. So, stilts are when you need support to stand. One of the requirements for private equity players is to have an independent director on the board. And that is how another mentor, Hari Kiran Wadlamani, would come into the picture. Hari Kiran Wadlamani joined as an independent director in 2013, recommended by Suresh Devneni. Actually, we had asked Suresh to come on board as an independent director, but he said he was anyhow there to guide us. Hari Kiran, we fondly call him Guruji, was a successful entrepreneur. He was part of KSK Energy, but exited that around 2008. Now, he was part of Indic Academy, a platform of Indian culture that has been doing fantastic work both in the country and across the world. Many people in our long journey played a key role in our transformation. They came to at the correct time and made us what we are today. Every relationship turned out to be such a blessing. Today, many people who are in education or otherwise come to me or Raj for advice. Raj spends half his time mentoring. We both love to do that. What a transformation it has been. There was a time when we sought out mentors to guide us, and now the same people seek us out as their mentors. Thank you, Jugjeet sir, for being my mentor and our mentor. It's wonderful to have you around. I consider Gurdeep as my mentor here. I consider Manisha as my mentor too. That's how we learn. What Manisha has is strengths I don't have. What Gurdeep has, I don't have. What Jugjeet has, I don't have. So you have to let go your I. And the biggest challenge when you're going for mentorship is your ego. And only when you let go of ego will you actually end up finding a mentor. There's a book recently out, Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Ryan Holiday is the one we used to quote last year as Daily Dad. So this book about Ryan Holiday is about ego is the enemy. Ryan Holiday is one of the generation's finest thinkers, and you must try and get hold of this book. Ego is the enemy. Many of us insist that many impediment to a full successful life is the outside world. In fact, the most common enemy lies within our ego. So mentorship requires first and foremost is to let to sink your ego, and that's most important. And if you look at Raj and if you look at Naga here, they were always willing to learn, and they were willing to learn because they could overcome their egos. Jugdeep sir, am I right in mentioning this?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, all said and done, they had successfully set up because they had some experience themselves. But I mean, I forget now, but in the beginning of the book, it's mentioned as to how many schools they visited. More than 100, I think, before
Yeah,
they
yeah,
set
absolutely.
up.
And across the country.
Yes, 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 yes.
Fantastic. They just went place to place for just finding the right person. And then they met Shomi in Dehradun. And it's a coincidence when they walked out of Doon school, someone gave them Shomi's number. So they were that down to earth and they learned from everyone. At times they said, we also learned from the cab drivers. We learned from the people we talked to along the way. See, you are in school. You have such a community. You learn from every individual, every stakeholder around you. And that is true. Mentoring is happening to us every minute, provided we are willing to give us a regard. Coming back to People Combine, that too has been a transformation. Look what they call their company, People Combine. From one stage to another, when we started the Vikas group of institutions, it was a partnership firm in which Raj, I, and our spouses were shareholders. So in partnership firm, you divide the share in number of people. There are no shares as such, but percentage of the company is owned by you. We converted the same partnership firm into a company. Oak Ridge School and Vikas College were both owned by the Vikas company. Later, in 2010, we changed the name of the company to People Combined. So good thing about People Combined, it's about mentors coming together. It's about people coming together. People Combine itself sounds a very positive mentorship organization. People have combined to help each other. Now we needed a different, now we need to differentiate between all our brands and corporate entity. Vikas College was one brand and Oak Ridge another. Vikas College was more a preparatory junior college, while Oak Ridge was a set of schools. Then we started play schools under OI, Open Interactive. We also entered the hospitality industry with 7 Midway Plaza on the Vijayawada Highway. All these brands were owned by People combined. So this is entrepreneurship, and it happened because they always believed in mentors. Mentors give you, they scaffold you, they hold you through tough time, they help you find that inner belief in you, and that's the beauty of mentorship. We exited from Oak Ridge and OI in 2019 and shut down because during COVID. We already had two Westbury schools in Tenali and Bhimavaram. We started co-school after our exit from Oak Ridge. So today we have the Westbury schools, co-school, 7 Midway Plaza, and some infrastructure and real estate business under people combined. In all, we had 5 Oak Ridge schools, 2 in Hyderabad, in Gachibowli and Bachupalli, 1 in Bangalore, Vishakhapatnam, and Mohali, Chandigarh. When we exited the Oak Ridge brand, all these were international schools and the top ones in their respective cities. Who would have thought that two small town boys brought up in modest circumstances in semi rural surroundings would have accomplished so much? But none of this would have possibly without those who helped us. So here's a vital tip. Please listen to this carefully. Lest anyone missed it, one needs to choose mentors wisely because they play an important role in any successful journey. So here's a vital tip. Lest anyone missed it, one needs to choose mentors wisely because they play an important role in any successful journey. Yugdeep sir, you'd like to mention one mentor and how do you think that mentor got you where you are today?
Well, I want to give you an example of the reverse, actually. When I was in business school, so, I used to go and meet somebody who was a very senior person in a large marketing organization. And, I sort of consulted with him a bit, throughout my 2 years. And then finally, when placement came, I again sort of told him, these are my options, what is the option? And I think I got wrong advice, right? And when I look back, I sort of say that it was my own sort of shortcoming because everybody is advising you based on their own experiences, right?
Yeah.
So, as this says, you have to choose your mentors wisely. You have to have an understanding of what wo kitne pani mein hai. He's he was a very senior person and he meant well. It's not that he didn't mean well, but his own exposure was limited to a certain space and of a certain era, right? So I think it makes a big difference. When I started to work in my first company, uh, I got a manager who was a very tough manager, and I think I owe a lot to that particular person because he would double check on everything I did until the first few months were over, and then he just let me be. Figured that he's taught me everything and small things. He teach me everything. Like a simple thing like when a train ticket खरीदा है उसको आएगा पढ़ो पहले. You know. So any on a day-to-day basis, this you should have a house by so and so year. You should do this by so and so year. He guided me on many things. So I think that was an example of a mentor who sort of seen it and who had some interest in your sort of outcome.
Yes, you said a very nice thing. A mentor has an interest on your outcome, and that is why he feels rewarded. That is the magic of mentors.
Yeah.
We'll pick up this thread later. For now, let's go back and catch up again with Shomi. So next week we will catch up with Shomi. So these stories are alternating between how Raj and Naga traveled their life, how Shomi came along. So I think this is very interesting, Judy, how the book is put. They give you one chapter of theirs, then they'll give you one chapter of Shomi. It's very interesting. So today is the 15th Saturday. Thank you, Gurdeep, for putting together the reflections for today. So chapter 14, Magic of Mentors. A Man Who Saw Tomorrow by Naga. So I'm giving you a little summary of a heads up. I hope you all can see my screen well.
Yeah.
The saying that we are average of the 5 people we spend the most time with highlights how important our environment and the people around us are. Choosing mentors wisely can have a profound impact as they shape our mindset, skills, and even our lives. Have you had any mentors who have made a big difference in your life? Question one. Mentors play a crucial role. Now, these are questions to think. And coming to this section, I say so hard words is not about seeing the screen and disappearing. It's about your thinking. It's about your reflection. Let's assume you've had a good mentor. So maybe you want to write about that mentor, and the space to write is comments below. There are no comments so far. So we hope this week there will be comments. That's why we've had the process done in such a way that in the next 5 minutes, I hope some of you will think what mentors do. Mentors play a crucial role in shaping one's journey to success, reflecting on our experiences. Have you had a mentor who guided you during your student life? What qualities do you believe are essential for an effective mentor? Think about it. Think about it and please write in the comment box below. As an educator, you interact with students who may not always recognize their strengths. How do you identify their hidden potential and provide the proper guidance to help them grow? Question three. If you had a magic wand to inspire, guide, and unlock the hidden potential of your students, what would your magic mantra be? How would you apply it to create a lasting impact on their learning and personal growth? Mentorship goes beyond guidance. It fosters a culture of trust and inspiration. How can you foster a classroom environment where students feel encouraged to seek and offer mentorship among peers? So type here, the comment box is open, and please post a comment here for our sake. And don't use anonymous, use a Google account or use a method in which you can actually write down your name below. That's an important part. So thank you all. It's been a wonderful journey here. We've had a wonderful session and we thank Jugjeev sir, we thank Manisha ma'am, we thank Gurdeep. Jugjeev sir, anything you want to add?
Actually, I spent the first part of today at a mentor meet. you know, uh, I do some work for an organization called Catalyst, which works with underprivileged girls who are studying engineering. And the purpose of their purpose is to help these girls find their feet because they're coming from underprivileged background. And some of the mentors had some lovely stories to share of how somebody who couldn't speak English, right, 4 years ago, today has got into Goldman Sachs because of what mentorship and the help they got from Catalyst. So, it can make a big difference to you having a good mentor. So, I mean, even in our age now, all of us, we can still do well with having the right mentors. So,
Jugjeev sir, you mentioned about that. There's another interesting book I've just finished reading. It's called The Noticer. I don't know if you remember, we got a hint for this book from Lena Ashraf the other day.
what is the book called?
It's called The Noticer.
Okay.
So here's this old Joe, and he's Mr. Jones. People call him Jones. And this whole book, it's not easy to get. The whole book is about he mentors people all his life. And he'll meet you. He can see a lot what you can't see. And that's the true mentor. That's the mentor. Mentor is one who can see what you can't see. And then he will go out of his way to help you see what you should see. So this is the book. By the way, there's a whole bookshelf behind me. So I'm not saying you all read the whole bookshelf. So two books I mentioned today. One was Ego is the Enemy if you want good mentorship. And second is The Noticer. So there are two books which were very well connected with this chapter on mentorship. So do find them. And yes, if you want to read more, please join us tomorrow. Jugjeev sir has got a great Sunday school. Jugjeev sir, I will keep my promise and join you.
No, no, don't worry. We talk offline. If you've got a cold, we'll figure it out because
I am okay. I will do it. This doesn't matter. I'm absolutely okay. I'm home. So I'll definitely do that. Yes, it's now almost dinner time for me. It's still early for you. So I'll have a quick meal and take a shot of sleep and get up in the morning and be fresh. Thank you, Gurdeep. We love you a lot for all you do for us. And she's mentor for us, Jugdeep sir. How selflessly she comes by every week.
yes,
Manisha is connected with us as a part of the team, but Gurdeep is pure volunteerism, and that's a mentor. That's another quality of a mentor, being a volunteer. And Jugdeep sir, you just gave a classic example of how you've been to an organization. And a lot of the work we do, Jugdeep sir, today, which we are doing currently also, where we are helping organizations. In fact, if you look at Learning Forward India, it's essentially a bank of mentors. And every mentor finds a reason to be here and find a project. You may find a teacher to mentor, you may find an institution to mentor. It's like we are mentoring the Arthur Food Academy. How much of effort is going in building that organization? You are following it very closely. So mentor
yeah.
is not just there for talking to you and holding your hand, but mentor is there to build an ecosystem around you and to facilitate your further entrepreneurial journey. That's the way I look at a mentor. Mentor doesn't have to give you anything per se, but when mentor facilitates your life, mentor is the one who helps you move, take a breath, move. Manisha ma'am, you want to add something?
Absolutely, sir. It's like without mentors, it really becomes difficult. So our focus comes only when we get somebody as a mentor. And
Thank you. She brought a very interesting point. Mentor helps you get your focus. And that's the beauty of Manisha. She will give you spot on what you should remember. So we end this session. Mentor helps you focus. So if you see a bullseye somewhere, thank your mentor for that. You go for a shooting competition, it's the toughest test. And if you don't have a good coach, you won't hit the bullseye. So keep going, find a mentor, go off your ego, notice your own self, notice what is around you. You'll always find someone who's noticing you. And that's the promise of a mentor. Thank you, everyone. See you next Saturday at the masterclass. And yes, we have so much lined up in the week. Did you know we have a poetry session on Thursday at 5 p.m.? We had the first one this week. We will release the recording of that on coming Wednesday. So enjoy it. And Brenda hosts a poetry session for 30 minutes every Thursday at 5 p.m. It's just 30 minutes. And we had 25 of us yesterday. It was brilliant, absolutely. I enjoyed the poetry session. Second, on Friday at 2:20 p.m. in the afternoon, if you have a phone, we read My Good School. So if you wish to join, that's another 35-40 minutes. So these weekly programs are like radio shows, literally. They happen for 30-35 minutes, nothing more than that. And yes, at the masterclass, when we meet on Saturday, we want you to do three things. Reflect, think about your career, and please share your thought process with us. Thank you. Have a great Sunday tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Right.